Your voice is your greatest tool of influence. That includes the silence of your voice, the tone, the words that you say, the way that you say them, the emphasis that you put on everything, and the way that you get your points across. So the secret weapon of highly respected men is control of their voice, command, mastering their voice. I used to speak with a very monotone voice. I could have been telling you the best story in the world or the most depressing story in the world, and there would be no difference in the tone, the color, the inflection, nothing. So I became a corporate speaker and trainer, and that's when I realized that my information was good, the performances that I was doing were interesting and fun, but my voice was really letting me down. So I actually spent a day over in London with Marika Rausha to learn how to use the tool that is your voice. Remember, most people, not even most people, everyone will not only listen to the words that you're saying and how you're saying them, but they're also going to look at your body language and your performance, I suppose. Whenever, like, we're always performing, even if you don't think of it like performing, we're still performing to an extent. If I just stand here or sit here and I don't move whenever I'm talking to you, I don't move my head, my arms, my hands, there's a bit of a disconnect between me and you. Whereas even though my hands aren't really in shot, if I'm moving them as I talk and they're matching the words that I'm saying, then you can feel that my body's moving, my shoulders moving. You're going to engage a lot more with it. So vocal mastery, here's a few talking points for you. So your voice is your greatest tool of influence. That includes the silence of your voice, the tone, the words that you say, the way that you say them, the emphasis that you put on everything, and the way that you get your points across. So think of it like a tool, and if you think of it like a tool and you can develop it, you can get better at using it. So I've wrote here, people don't just judge how they hear your words, they judge the confidence or lack of whenever you're talking about them. So I saw a real great talk one day, and the guy came out and he was talking, he lit up a cigarette, it was a fake cigarette. He lit up a fake cigarette. The crowd didn't know it was fake, spoiler alert. And he started quoting research about how it turns out that cigarettes are actually really good for you. And the audience, you could see them getting real sucked into it and like really engaging with what he was saying. And then he threw out that he was actually making all of this up, and just because he said it with enough confidence, people started to believe him. So people will hear that and will feel it in your voice. If you are asking for a promotion, or if you're asking for somebody's number, or you want to join a team, if you come across a bit sheepish and frightened when you're doing that, that's going to affect the outcome of whatever it is that you're going for. Whereas if you come across confident, and like I have a habit of going into places, and I was asked one day by a barman, I was taking photos and I was behind the bar, and the barman was like, you seem really important, like nobody's allowed behind here except the bar staff, but then you can just walk in and out and do whatever you like. And my first response was, I am important, everybody's important, but I am important, I'm doing a job here. But the reason that nobody questions me going behind the bar is because I look like I'm supposed to be there. So whatever you do with confidence, or should I say whatever you want to do, want to achieve, like approach it with confidence, and that will create a much better outcome. So there's 3 keys to vocal authority. One is your projection. So rather than me speaking from my throat or from my chest and not much is moving, I engage more and I speak from my actual diaphragm, so that there's more like volume and gravitas to my voice and the words that I'm saying. This is worth practicing. Whenever I did a TED Talk, I was walking onto the stage to where the mic was, and on the way to the mic, I realized that the mic wasn't there. The person before me had, for some reason, taken the mic off stage, and then the tech guys didn't fix it. It's the last time I ever done this, but I had trusted the tech would just be set up correctly. So when I went out there was no mic. So I had about maybe 2 or 3 meters to readjust my mindset, and then I just projected my voice to the audience rather than worrying about the mic or killing the flow. I could have went off, got the mic and came back on, but that would have killed the flow of the talk. And since my talk was all about being basically being an incredible human, a superhuman actually, I didn't think it would look good if I superhuman. The first thing I did was whinge and cry that there was no mic. So projection is the first one, so I did that. And then pacing, slow is confident. If I'm just rushing through everything that I have to say, it's almost like I'm trying to get to the end of the conversation. People listening are trying to catch up with you. So slow signals confidence. And then the third one is tonal variation. So I explained that already at the start, like with a monotone voice. Monotone just loses people. It's so boring. So if you can control your voice, you can control the conversation. You can actually control the room once you get to a point that more people are listening to you. So think about those three things. Whether you're talking to people just one-to-one, you're doing a podcast, you're on a video, you are out and about somewhere, think about those three things: projection, pacing, and tonal variation. Another thing that I think about is my energy projection whenever I'm talking. If I do this podcast and I'm tired, fatigued, or I'm just not firing on all cylinders and I'm sort of slacked down and just talking to you about the things that I think are important. My chair nearly broke there. I'm going to lose you. I probably lost some people there. It's a dangerous game to play whenever you're making videos and audios. I have a wee vocal warm-up that I do. I do a wee bit of pace and I jump up and down. I get the energy going in my body so that I'm high energy state when I come here, because some of it's going to be lost through the lens. But even when I'm going out somewhere, I'll sit in my car and I will do like a wee visualization to get me in the zone so that I'm projecting the right type of frequency, the right type of energy. So your emotional state will affect your voice. If I am feeling insecure, anxious, or uncertain about the event or the social situation I'm going into, you'll feel that whenever I talk to you. If I'm angry or frustrated because of traffic or whatever happened, or I'm late, you'll feel that. So if you can feel all those negatives, then you surely will feel the positive. If I come in, I'm super pumped and amped to be here, and I really actually want to engage with you, want to be in this environment, you're going to feel that as well. So energy leaks through hesitation. So whenever you have doubt, not only if I'm doubting this conversation now, not only am I having to deal with this conversation that I'm having and putting across all my points, but I'm also having the chattering monkeys going on in the background as well, tell me that this is stupid, or I look stupid, or I'm standing wrong, or I should have done my hair, or whatever it is. That's energy that could be directed more into the conversation and the situation that we are in. So the words are only 7% communication, 93% is tone, body language, and energy. Obviously, it's not exactly that, but this is why mirroring is so important, why building rapport is so important. And like if I'm gesturing, if you're watching this rather than listening, if I'm gesturing now the way that I'm gesturing, my hands aren't in sync with what I'm talking about, so there's a disconnect. Whereas if I'm talking and I'm a bit more precise about all the things that I'm talking about, and I'm opening my hands up whenever I'm bringing you into the conversation, if I'm talking about the future and I'm talking about the past, and my hands and body language is engaged with that, it creates more of a connection automatically. So the 3 tips to align your voice with your energy: breathe deeply before speaking. So it resets your nervous system. So if I'm just rambling and I take a breath, even you just being there will feel relaxed. You don't have to breathe out loud. You don't have to take a big, like, obvious breath, but take that silence, take a deep breath in, and just reset yourself. So that way you're going to speak from a grounded place. So you should speak from a grounded place, but it's very hard to be grounded whenever you're up in the air, anxious and stressed. Take that breath, relax, speak from a grounded place, and just hopefully you're talking about something you actually care about or interested in. Or if it's something at work that you don't care about or aren't interested in, you're still interested in the outcome. Maybe you'll get this promotion, maybe you'll get more kudos, a bonus, whatever it is. So you mightn't be interested in the exact thing, but the things that come off that. So then you can, that's your grounded place. You think, do this as best as I can, and that will help me achieve this. And then feel the energy of your words. I've spoke to a lot of martial arts kung fu masters over the years, and they all speak with the same sort of tone, the same time between everything that they're saying. And it's almost like every word that they're saying is really important, which a lot of the time it is, because they're passing on knowledge that has been acquired from years and years of training. And that's what I'm trying to do here. Yes, I do speak a bit more energetic and a bit faster on camera, but that's, like I said, we lose some of it through the camera. But if you're talking to me in person, I'm a bit more slow, a bit more precise in what I'm saying, because I enjoy what I'm talking about, and I want to make sure the people that I'm interacting with get the best out of the conversation without it just being like, you talk, now it's my turn to talk, now it's your turn to talk. The example that I would use for conversations is, we used to do a lot of pad work, and the person would be hitting away at the pad, they'd call out the numbers, and they're real focused on their footwork, everything. And then it switches around, they're holding the pads and they look bored. And I'd be saying to them, you're not just holding the pads waiting for your opportunity to hit the pads in 2 minutes. You're holding the pads, you're practicing your movement, your evasive action, you're getting used to fists and feet coming at you, your elbows, knees, the whole lot. You're getting used to that. You should be switched on. So then when we transition to sparring, you've learned people's range, you've learned their reach, you learn how they move before they throw a punch, you know how you move when you're impacting a punch. So the same in the conversation. You're not in the conversation to just wait for your turn to speak. You're in the conversation to be present, to learn, to develop. So that's what I'm trying to do when I talk to people about all these sorts of things that I like, and that's why this podcast came about again, because I was having a lot of conversations, but personally I just didn't think I was impacting enough people. And I've a lot of experience and a lot of, I think about myself sort of like a gatherer. I gathered all this information and experience. So rather than you have to spend 20, 25 years hunting down all these people and training them, you can just come to me, ask me questions, and if I don't know the answer, I know someone that will know the answer. So think about those three things when you're speaking. Breathe deeply before you speak. Speak from a grounded place, and then feel the energy of your words. And this will help you to use your words to reflect your inner state rather than letting your emotions or your anxiety be in control of your words, I suppose. And then here's a practical exercise for you to just to test. So I want you to do, it's called just the deep breath and slow speech method. All I want you to do is, the next time you're in a conversation, take about 2 seconds to take a deep breath and just relax, and then speak about 20% slower than you normally would. The first time you do this is going to feel weird. You're going to feel like, have you ever watched a video on 2-speed or listened to an audiobook on 2-speed, and then there's an important bit, you're like, oh, I really like that, and you go back and you listen at 1, and it's like the whole world slowed down. They start to talk like that, and you'd be like, it takes a wee bit for your brain to re-register. That's what's going to happen when you're doing it. But because you're going to be focused on what you're saying and you're going to emphasize some of the key points, it'll make it easier to do. But I want you to go, breathe deeply, 20% slower, emphasize your key words, and then use intentional pauses. If I give you a really good point and I say that's something you really want to think about, and then I just continue talking, you don't have the opportunity to think about it. So I'm not saying you have to stall for 10, 20 seconds, but just stall enough that they can internalize that and then move from it. And then the second technique for you to try if you're up for another challenge is the pause and hold technique. So use silence to create dominance in your speech. So in a conversation, sort of the same idea, but you're not worrying about the 20% and everything. That'll just come over time. But do a active focused version of that drill, and then over time that will just start to happen. But the next conversation you have, pause for 1 to 2 seconds before you answer a question. For some reason, when you ask someone a question, they feel they need to get the answer out straight away. They're already thinking of the answer before you even finish the question. So maybe take 2 seconds. Say the question again in your mind if you need to, just to stall you, and then answer. So that way you're going to answer more clearly and with a more of an understanding of the actual question, because you're not trying to rush anything. Same thing, if someone interrupts you, then just instead of reacting, just pause, let them interrupt you, hold your eye contact, and then wait. And then when you start speaking slowly again. Use the 20% less rule to reinforce your power in the conversation and to show that you're commanding your voice, you're commanding the conversation rather than reacting within the conversation. So just when you do that, you'll notice people become more engaged with what you're saying because it feels more important than what you were saying beforehand. I'm not saying what you're saying is more important than what they're saying. What I'm saying is the way you deliver it will make it seem more important. Possibly it is more important. That's not important at the minute. So my final thought here is your voice is one of your greatest weapons. Starts as a tool, and then a tool can become a weapon once you master it. So once you master your voice, you command respect. So we're back to commanding rather than demanding. You can command respect and have people engage before you even finish your first sentence. I guarantee if you do this in social environments, you'll notice it happening. You'll be having a conversation with one person and more people will come into the conversation because the way you're delivering it, the things that you're talking about are because you're actually more self-aware. You're going to talk about more important things than TV shows or like surface level stuff. You're going to go a bit deeper in your conversation, which I think is what all human interaction should be about. So let me know how you get on with those two tasks, or if you have any thoughts on what we just talked about here. And remember, the warrior path is a long path. This isn't somewhere that you're looking for an end point. You want to live your life this way so that you just continually get better. So thanks again for tuning in, and I'll speak to you again soon.